Hello users and potential customers of thebookpatch.com. My name is Ryan Geaver, and I'm an author who has published with 2 books on this site. My first novel is a science fiction fantasy named Aetherite Online. Okay, let's take a moment and just pronounce that out because that's a common question that I get. Aetherite Online. Okay, this novel begins the tale of the Promethean Night trilogy and stars high school senior Andrew Cress. The year is 2022, and 9 years prior, the American government was dismantled for unknown reasons. Andrew grew up most of his life under the new lifestyle where chaos is more abundant and structure is less common. Andy is lucky, though, because he lives in one of the more structured cities in all America, Aurora, Colorado. In Aurora, one of the few surviving companies named Geyser Corporation develops virtual reality headsets called NerveTech. They're used to project the wearer to simulated virtual worlds. Andy buys one of these virtual reality headsets with use with the first virtual reality compatible massively multiplayer role-playing video game. That's a mouthful, and it's the eponymously named Aetherite Online. The story delves into Andy's adventure inside the video game and his realization, plus many others alongside of him who cannot log out of the game once they have logged in. And the only way to return to the real world would be to complete the game and find the game master Howard Geyser, creator of Aetherite Online. Andy uses the online alias of Dex, and he meets another such player whom he befriends, alias Klein. And he had been one of the few people to beta test Aetherite Online. As such, he received mythical armor that gave him nearly uncrushable defenses. Along the way, Dex, or Andy, and Klein meet up with another beta tester, screen named Eldon, and his younger sister, Athena. After a slight altercation, Eldon is killed, and the group, disheartened, moved on to try to complete the game. Now, I've left out any spoilers about the ending and other crucial details because it wouldn't be any fun to just spoil everything here and now. This will be the same with the second book. My second novel is actually a prequel, and it is named Year Zero. Year Zero occurs 4 years before the events of Aetherite Online in 2018, and it tells the story of college student Gavin Daniels. Gavin is a sophomore at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. His parents were killed in an accident 5 years prior, incidentally the same year that the American government had been shut down. Gavin's life takes a turn from mysterious when one day a mysterious figure clad in a dark black robe and gas mask breaks into his room and kidnaps him. He is woken up by an old childhood friend of his, Megan Adada, or Meg for short. He's in as much confusion as she is on how they got on the ship, and then finally they came across 5 other people who were in their same exact situation. It is then learned by the 7 on the ship that the one who had gathered them, codenamed Zero, had assembled them all for a specific purpose. To play the Nados game, named after the great demon of death, Thanatos. The only way to survive is to solve the puzzles of why they were brought on board and find a way off of the ship in no less than 10 hours, or tiny bombs that had been forcibly placed in their bodies while they were unconscious would go off. Now, compared to Aetherite Online, which focuses more on life after the government shut down and how the people of the country react, like playing video games to escape the reality of it, Year Zero takes the opposite approach and focuses more on the past and what had happened to make the American government collapse. It goes on to the hows and the whys, and maybe even answers some of the questions you might have had in Aetherite Online. And while it is a prequel, it features a whole new cast of characters, but that's not to say this is life in a whole new world. These characters live in the same universe and deal with similar problems. That is to say, they're all connected and have intertwining fates. Now that the long part is out of the way, I guess I should go into some of the behind the scenes of writing the book, shouldn't I? Wait, just one moment. Ah, that's much better. This entire intertwined story idea began about 3 years ago. That's 2011 for those watching this at a later year. I'd written a 4-part story named Zero. It was what Year Zero is today, minus a bit of content. Year Zero is split into 3 different parts, each flowing to tell one cohesive story. Parts 1, 2, and 3 of Year Zero currently comprised with heavily edited sections of parts 1, 3, and 4 of regular Zero. 2 had been cut because I felt it to be a little irrelevant to the grand scheme of things, and once that was done, I had the idea for another story, inspired by such story as Tron and a popular anime called Sword Art Online. I decided to take these concepts of a virtual video game realm and have my own spin on, and then I started to see similarities between settings, which had been coincidental at the time, as they both had been written in the near future with post-governmental failure as a backdrop. I began toying around with the idea of having small connectors between these 2 stories, maybe a character or 2 that would show up in one and maybe make a cameo in the other, a la the works of Stephen King, but then my idea grew exponentially. I began with more than just a simple conduit to connect 2 stories. I'd basically link them together in ways which I could not say because of spoilers. My 2 stories began to feel more like a world with 2 different views, rather than 2 different worlds at 2 different times. Now that both of these projects are done, what is next, you might ask? Well, you folks at home might have heard me say that this series is called the Promethean Night trilogy, remember? Yes, the 3rd book is in production, and anything I said about conduits and connectors between worlds is that much greater in this novel. I won't go too in depth with it, but I'll say it's the last book chronologically, taking place in 2029, and we have more than the usual one lead character with a lot of major characters at his side. I hope the shift in different characters' views on their situations will at least help flesh out the dire atmosphere that these characters live in and breathe through. I'm so excited to finish this series off with a bang, and while I don't have an exact estimated time of release, I can say that it should be completed before the end of the year.